Good morning, student. In my previous video, we have discussed the chemical composition of the DNA. And now, in this video, I shall discuss the structure of the DNA molecule and we shall discuss the packaging of the DNA molecule inside the cell. Now, we shall discuss the structure of the DNA molecule in detail. Now, this structure of the DNA molecule was established by two famous scientists, Watson and Crick. And according to their model, the DNA molecule is a double-stranded and helical in nature. But before going to that, we must see what is a double-stranded structure. Double-strand, as we have already studied about the single strand of polynucleotide chain. But here, how the polynucleotide chains are doubled. Now, look at here. This is the one polynucleotide chain from 5' to 3' end. Another polynucleotide chain, it is here 3' end and here 5' end. This is your phosphate group, then your sugar, this is phosphate, this is sugar, this is phosphate, this is sugar, and this is phosphate, this is sugar. And this is a straight chain and which is having sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate. In this way they attach with one another. With the phosphodiester bond, the bonds which naturally connect the phosphorus with the sugar, these bonds are called phosphodiester bonds. Okay. Now, another chain here that is starts from the 3' end. This is the sugar molecule, and this sugar molecule which is having the 3' end here, it is the third position or third carbon atom of the sugar. Now, this is attached with phosphate here, then another sugar, another phosphate, another sugar, another phosphate, sugar and phosphate. But look at the structure of the sugar in this case. Here, look at the structure. This is the structure of the sugar, where the first carbon is here and the second, third, fourth, fifth, in this way fifth is here. Now, in this case, look at here. This is the here first carbon here and the second, third, fourth and fifth carbon. In this way, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So just in the reverse direction. That is why the third position is here. So that is why it is in this position. That is the third position. And look at here. This is the fifth position here. So that is why the phosphate is attached here. In this direction, the fifth position, and in this direction, the third position. Here in this chain, what happened? It is attached in the fifth position in this direction and third position in this direction. So this type of arrangement, it is called anti-parallel. So the first one, that is, it is a double-stranded structure and both the strands are normally parallel in nature. This is double-stranded first, then they are parallel in nature. What do you mean by parallel? Parallel means both never intersect one another. So that is why they are called parallel. Suppose these are two pens. You can take it here and you can draw the parallel line like this. So these two are the parallel line. They never intersect with one another. And in this case, what happened? They are anti-parallel. Double-stranded, no doubt. Then second one, they are anti-parallel. What is the difference between the parallel and anti-parallel? Anti-parallel means what? Look at here. It is the 5' end and it is 3' end. It is 3' end and 5' end like that. Suppose this is your 5' end. This is the 3' end. Then here it is your 3' end and it is 5' end. So in this way, the both the strands are in opposite way. So that is why this is called anti-parallel. Now, these parallel lines can move in this way. So, we are just observing in the two-dimensional figure, they are overlapping with one another. But actually, look at the pen. The distance is constant between these two strands or two lines. Now, you can easily draw the DNA structure in this way. So, this is the way by which you can, without any effort, you can draw the double helical structure of DNA. Now, they are parallel, no doubt. They never intersect with one another. But in the two-dimensional figure, it appears to be intersect with one another. But in the three-dimensional figure, they never intersect with one another. Now, these are the strands which connected with one another. This type of connection. Now, here what happened? Actually, they are parallel, and this strand, this is the backbone, and this backbone consists of your phosphorus, sugar, phosphorus, sugar, phosphorus, sugar, phosphorus, sugar. In this way, they are arranged here. On both the sides, you will find the phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, and both are connected. Well, suppose this is a base A and this is the base T, and both A and T, look at here in this figure, the A and T are joined with a double bond, and C and G, the purine pyrimidine, they joined with the triple bond. So in this way, the double bond and triple bond, they form between the nitrogenous bases, and these nitrogenous bases, look at here, this is the A nitrogenous base, this is the T nitrogenous base, this is T, A form double bond, these are the hydrogen bonds which connect these two nitrogenous bases. Now here, this is G and this is C, and G and C, they are connected with one another with the triple bond. Now here C and G again, they form the triple bond. So in this way, the double bond and triple bond, these are the hydrogen bonds, and they connect the two strands. This is the one strand, this is the first strand, and this is the second strand. Both the strands are connected with the hydrogen bond. And in each strand, this is one nucleotide, this is the first nucleotide, and this is the second nucleotide, this is the third nucleotide, and this is the fourth nucleotide. Now here also, this is first nucleotide, second nucleotide, third nucleotide, and fourth nucleotide. And when these two nucleotides join together, and this is the first pair, this is the one pair of nucleotide, and this one, this is, look at here, this is the second pair of nucleotide, this is third pair of nucleotide, and fourth pair of nucleotide. So in the DNA molecule, these are the nucleotide pairs. These are nucleotides are always present in pairs. So that is why these are also called the base pairs. The nucleotide strands, they are antiparallel, no doubt, but the bases are continuously attached in this way. Now, the third important thing is that this is helical in nature. Helical means what? This is the structure of a helix. It is alpha helix, and normally in this case what happens? Suppose this is one nitrogenous base, and it is another nitrogenous. Suppose this is A and this is T, and this is suppose C and this is G. So they are not in a straight, but slightly they are moving in the cyclic way. So that is why there is an angle of 36 degree between the two consecutive base pairs. So there is the 36 degree in between two consecutive base pairs. Okay. Now the next one, that is your how these base pairs, they are arranged with one another. The helical structure of the DNA molecule, which is just like this, and the diameter of this helical structure, it is around 2.0 nanometer, or you can say it is 20 angstrom. Now, in each turn, suppose this is one turn, and in each turn the length is around 3.4 nanometer or around 34 angstrom. Now, in one turn there are 10 consecutive base pairs. The 10 base pairs are there. So if the length is 34 angstrom and normally the base pairs are 10 in number, then the distance between two consecutive base pairs, the distance between two consecutive base pairs, it is around 33.4 nanometer, sorry, angstrom. So this is the length between this is one base pair, this is another base pair, and the length between these two base pairs, or distance between these two base pairs, it is around 33.4 angstrom or 34 nanometer. Sorry, 0.34 nanometer. Now, this structure is normally established by Watson and Crick, and according to this structure, it is established that the number of base pairs, it determines the length of the particular DNA chain or polypeptide chain. The length of the polypeptide chain, it depends upon the number of base pairs. In case of human being, there are around 3.3 into 10 to the power 9 base pair in an haploid human cell. Haploid means when there are 23 chromosomes, then these base pairs are like this. Then from this we can calculate the length of that particular polypeptide chain. Now in case of E. coli bacteria, it is 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pair. In case of lambda phage, it is 48502 base pair. So that is why by knowing the number of base pair, we can easily calculate the length of that particular DNA molecule or that particular polynucleotide chain. Now, next important things which normally we derive from this Watson and Crick model, the Chargaff explain the number of purines is always equal to the number of pyrimidine bases. The purine bases, the adenine and guanine are purine, non-cytosines and thymine and uracil are the pyrimidine. Uracil is not here in the DNA molecule, but this purine and pyrimidine bases are equal in number. So that is why, according to him, the A plus G is always equal to the T plus C. This A plus G is always equal to T plus C. Now, the ratio of the A plus T by G plus C, this ratio, it is an indicator of that particular species. That this ratio is very much species specific. That means the ratio of A plus T divided by G plus C in a particular organism or particular species of organism, it is constant. In case of human being, this ratio is 1.53. And beings of the earth who has 46 chromosomes, their ratio is always 1.53. So it is the species specific, and we can identify the species or by getting a particular species. Then in case of E. coli, this ratio is 0. In case of T2 phase, it is around 1.86. So that is why it is an indicator for identification of a particular species. Now, next we shall discuss about the packaging of the DNA molecule and how these are packaged in a compact form to form the chromosomes. Okay. Now we shall discuss the packaging of the DNA helix inside the cell. Now, how the packaging of the DNA helix occurs in the prokaryote and how this packaging occurs in the eukaryote. In case of prokaryote, we are taking the example of the E. coli bacteria, the simplest form of bacteria, and this E. coli bacteria, which is having the base pairs of around 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 number. Now, as we know, the distance between two consecutive base pair is equal to 0.34 nanometer into 10 to the power minus 9. Okay. Now this is the now what is the total length of this E. coli bacteria DNA? Now when we multiply this base pair with this total length or the distance, then we will find the total length of this DNA helix. Now this DNA helix is very long, around 0.00156. It is around 0.00156 it is meter. So this is the length of this DNA helix. Now how this DNA helix is arranged inside the prokaryotic cell? In case of prokaryote, there is no any specific well-defined nucleus. No well-defined nucleus is there in case of prokaryotes like E. coli. Then another one, if they are not there inside the nucleus, then where they are present? Now they are also not scattered in the cell. They are also not scattered throughout the cell. Then where they are present? They are normally confined to a specific nuclear region. Of course, inside the cell, there is a specific nuclear region. In this region, they are present. Now, question arises, now how they are arranged or how they are remain there without any well-defined nuclear membrane? Now, the DNA molecules are mostly negatively charged. The DNA molecules are negatively charged molecules. Now, these negatively charged molecules are normally held with some positively charged protein. So the protein, which are normally basic proteins, are positively charged, and these positively charged proteins, when wrapped with or held with the negatively charged DNA, then they are normally organized in the large loops in the nuclear region. So in case of prokaryote, normally the arrangement of the DNA in this way, and they are arranged here in the nuclear region. Now, the eukaryotes, they are having a very long DNA helix, and in case of human being, as we know, it is around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs in case of human haploid cell. So human haploid cell is very much important because we already studied the Human Genome Project and we have already revealed everything. But now, what is the actual length of this human DNA helix? Now, there are around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs, and the distance between two base pairs, it is around 0.34 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. In eukaryotes, normally we took the example of the human cell, and this human cell normally contain around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 base pair, and the distance between two consecutive base pairs is around 0.34 into 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Then when we calculate this, then we will find the total length of DNA helix in human being. DNA helix in human being, it will be around 2.2 meter. When we multiply this, the 6.6 number of base pairs into the distance between two consecutive base pairs, then it will be around 2.2 meter. And this 2.2 meter, which is a very long one, and these long chains, which are normally wrapped inside the nucleus, and you will surprise that it is more than the diameter of the nucleus. The diameter of the nucleus is around 10 to the power minus 6 meter. So that is why it is more longer than the diameter of the nucleus. Then how this DNA helix actually arranged inside the nucleus and stored there? Now this is a complex structure in comparison to the prokaryotes. In case of prokaryotes, the negatively charged DNA, they are held with the positively charged protein and they remain in the nuclear region. But here there is a special structure which was normally established by Korenberg and Thomas in 1974, and this model was universally accepted now, and it is called nucleosome model. It is called nucleosome model. And according to this nucleosome model, normally the DNA and the proteins, they are arranged inside the nucleus in the form of a nucleosome. Then what is this nucleosome and how the DNA and the protein, they are tightly arranged there? Now this nucleosome consists of an histone octamer. Histone is nothing but the protein, and there are 8 proteins which are held together. There are 4 in the upper side and another 4 in the lower. These are named differently, like your S2, S2A, S2B, S3 and H4, like this. And all these same 4 here, H2A, H2B, then S3 and H4, like this. And these are 8 in number. So that is why it is called an octamer. Octa means 8. So that is why it is called an octamer. And around this is the DNA helix. The DNA helix is wrapped twice around it, and another H1 histone protein which forms a stick-like structure, and it normally held the DNA chain together and it does not allow to uncoil it. So here in this DNA chain or DNA helix, normally when it is wrapped around, this wrapping DNA is around 146 base pairs, and here the chain of the DNA helix which joined another octamer or another nucleosome. So this gap is normally filled by this linker protein, linker DNA. This DNA which connects the 2 nucleosomes, this is called the linker DNA, and this linker DNA normally consists of 54 number of base pairs, and these 54 base pairs are present here. Now this nucleosome, which is having the diameter of 11 nanometer and its height is around 5.5 nanometer, and here in this nucleosome all total around 200 base pairs are there. Now if the number of base pairs in total, it is around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 in case of human being, and if there are 200 base pairs present in one nucleosome, there are 200 base pairs present, and total number of base pairs in the human gene, that is around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9. Now that is why the total number of nucleosomes, this rounded structure, these nucleosomes are around 3.3 into 10 to the power 7. And these beads are normally present in this way. Suppose this is a polynucleotide chain which is also called the chromatin. And this chromatin consists of, this is the linker part, this is one nucleosome, this is another nucleosome, another nucleosome, and this is the linker DNA which linked the 2 nucleosomes, and in this way they are arranged together. Now, in case of eukaryotes, the chromosomes are normally exposed, or chromosomes are condensed during, or the chromatins are condensed, you can say, to form the chromosomes during cell division. this chromatin, either heterochromatin or euchromatin, two types of chromatins are there, and the chromosomes are normally appear in the conduct for during cell division, and in the metaphase, normally in the metaphase of cell division, the chromosomes are very much contact and it is clearly seen from outside. So that is why these chromosomes which contains the two type of regions. One region which is light in staining, when it is stained, it takes the light color. Another portion it takes the dark color. So the light color is due to the loose connection or loosely bind these chromatin material. When the chromatins are loosely bind there, then it is called the euchromatin region, and when they are bind densely or they are densely packed, then it is called heterochromatin. So the euchromatin region and heterochromatin region, they are present in the chromosomes according to their loose and tight arrangement of the chromatin material. If this video is useful for you, then please do like it and subscribe it. Thank you.